success after lockdown. We in the building. Again, we have a special guest today, man. Just go to show you that, there are brothers and sisters out there that are formerly incarcerated who have changed their life around and who have dedicated their time and energy to giving back to their community and making a change. And we're excited to having you on the show. So with that, let's give our brother Kardell a round of applause for being on the show.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Man, so let's get this started, man, because I've been reading his bio, looking at some of the things that you're doing, Mr. Cardell. You want to let our audience know who you are, where you from, and what made you change?
Oh man, I'm Kardell Sims, man. I'm from Missouri, Sedalia, Missouri, which is kind of probably about an hour east of Kansas City. So, I grew up around in the Kansas City area. Man,
Big up to Missouri, Kansas City.
Yes,
man,
sir.
I've been, man, I just been through it. Grew up in a impoverished neighborhood. Had a young mother. She was 16 when she had me. I had an older sister that she had 2 weeks prior to her 14th birthday. So I grew up with a young mother. By the time I was a teenager, she started struggling with addiction, with crack, and I was involved in gangs. So at 15, I caught my first case, which was attempted murder. Because of the situation that was going on with my mother, my father wasn't nowhere in the picture. I got put in a juvenile detention center, and then from there I went to one foster home. It just didn't work out. I wasn't ready for the things that they wanted me to do, go to church and all. I just wasn't that. I had the homies come sneaking me out of the foster home and all that. So they put me in another foster home. From then, graduated high school, but I was living this double life because I could play basketball, so I ended up getting a basketball scholarship, and that was one of the things when I had
Nice.
caught the case at 15 and got probation was I had a stipulation to graduate high school. So I graduated high school, ended up with a basketball scholarship, but I was still in the streets selling drugs and gang banging. Once I graduated high school, I was allowed to move back home. And once I moved back home, I was right back in the same neighborhood, same environment, same gang. And I was living a double life, gang banging, selling drugs, and then playing college basketball. But that's how I paid my way through college, and that's how I took care of myself in college. But I ended up dropping out of college and full fledged in the streets and caught my first drug case. Got probation, violated the probation with other cases, ended up going to trial on one of my cases, lost, got sentenced to 19 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections.
Mm.
Walked in there, this prison, man, it was called The Walls. They closed it down now. They use it for like a museum, stuff like that. You can come in and see the cells. I don't never go back in there I'd have been in there personally. And you walk in there, and there's a sign on the wall in receiving. It said in red letters, it said, "Leave all your hopes and dreams behind." I'm
Oh,
23 years old with a 19-year sentence, walking into prison seeing this. With the background of the prison, man, the nickname of the prison was the bloodiest 48 acres,
wow.
um, because of riots that had occurred some years prior to me coming in. And so, luckily, that prison was on the verge of getting shut down, so I was only there for about like a year and a half, and I got transferred to another maximum security prison that they just opened. The problem was when they opened that prison, they ran it with lower levels just to get the guards and stuff accustomed to how prison ran. And so when they took the lower level people out and put us max in there, they was bringing people out of the hole and everything else, so it was wide open, stabbings. It was going on left and right. Probably back to about 4 years, I got a letter under my door. Back then they slide the letter under your door, and it was a immediate parole hearing because one of the Senate bills on one of my cases, the time got cut in half, so I was up for immediate parole. Now I went to the parole hearing. And I always tell people it was the fastest parole hearing in history. I walked in there. The guard that took me there, he went to the bathroom. I walked in there. They said, "Mr. Sims, you part of the problem. You got some more years with us." And they asked me, what did I think about institutional behavior and drug treatment? On the inside, we know if you get the treatment, you're going to get out early the sooner you get in there. So I told them I'd take the treatment. That was my parole hearing. I beat the guard I made it out before he got out the bathroom. He get
Yeah.
out the bathroom, he was like, man, go on in. I'm like, I already been in there. He was like, ah, man, I ain't never seen nobody go in and out that fast. But for me, I'm like, ain't nothing else they need to tell me. I got a few more years with him, and that's just what it is. So speeding it up, I ended up getting out of prison after that, probably about within 2 years after that hearing. I went right back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang. Within 1 year, caught a whole nother case. My mama's brother's son set me up. End up getting a parole violation because of the new case. I go back for another year and a half. I beat the case on the technicality. I get out, same neighborhood, same block, same gang. This time we in the middle of a drug war. So in a gang war. So I ain't the only one going in and out of prison from my block. So to get us off the streets, they violated us for association. Some people got shot, a guy got killed. So they was on us real heavy. I go sent back to prison for a violation of association. Do another year and a half, come out, same neighborhood, same block, same gang. At the same time, I'm a rapper. I'm rapping. You know, we in the streets. A lot of us become rappers and stuff like that. So I'm in my music. I'm really shedding light on what I'm going through and stuff like that. So I make a few songs that ain't promising for the judges and prosecutors and stuff like that. They see it, find a way to find another and throw a case on me. So they put another case on me. I go back to prison for another couple years. I get out, same neighborhood, same block, same gang. It's the same play. And then for about 2 years, they ain't really messing with me. And then I figure out why. The federal government came pick me and 31 other people up. Conspiracy charges, gang activities, and it's just a host of charges. And they took us up to Kansas City to the Charles Whitaker Federal Courthouse. And in there, they handed me this piece of paper. And on it was the indictment. And it had all these charges and all this time, but I really wasn't tripping off these charges at the time because I've seen this amount of time before. And at the top of it, what caught my attention, the top of the page, it said, the United States of America versus Kardell Sims. And I'm 30, man, I'm 34 at the time. So I done spent from 15 up to this point, from foster homes, juvenile detention center, county jail 9 times, prison 4 times, and here I am on my 5th prison trip at 34 years old with the feds. And the only thing I asked myself, like, damn, man, why you keep finding yourself in these situations? Only answer I came up with was it was myself. I keep putting myself in these situations. So from that point on, standing there, I made an oath to myself that I'm gonna be better. Whenever I get out, I'm gonna be better than I am standing here today. And so from that point on, I just started reading. I changed my reading habit. I wasn't reading the Quans, the Gangsters, the Gutters, and all that. I just started reading different material, Knowledge of Self, How to Hustle to Win, Seed of the Soul, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Set Goals, and all these different mindset books, business books, goal setting books, and basically personal development and self-help books. And so while I was in the federal holdover, I would read all these books and I would keep notes. I would take notes because I couldn't take the books with me once I pleaded out to my federal case and went to the feds. And so once I pleaded out, I ended up going to United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. And I had my family send all the paperwork in that I had took the notes from all the books that I was reading. On top of the paperwork, in the feds, you got to have your paperwork, that's your driver's license as well, to be able to move around the feds. Or if you don't get your paperwork in within 2 weeks, they're going to run you up top. So that was, while I was getting the paperwork in for my driver's license, my PSIs, your court transcripts and all that, I was also having my people send me all them notes and stuff that I've been taking. And I just I just continued that regimen when I was in USP Leavenworth. You got to play the politics of federal prison, the cards and stuff like that. But in all the free time that I had, I still dedicated myself into educating myself, And so I started taking classes in the prison. They had a hotel hospitality and lodging class. I graduated that class, became a certified concierge, had got a little pen. Then I took Cersei. I ain't know nothing about no cooking. I was just taking class to at least have something to fall back on so I can utilize when I get out.
Stay busy.
You know what I'm saying? But they had this one class called consciousness and success. So I seen the word success. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm finna go in here. They finna teach me how to get this money, right? I go in there, and it's about basically creating a mindset shift. And they taught me about vision
Yeah.
boards and affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And I just added that to the regimen that I was already doing. So I took all the pictures off my little picture boards, pictures we got up, the game, my rap career, the pictures with celebrities and all that. And I just started putting together a vision what I want my life to look like once I got out. So every morning before my feet hit the ground, I said, thank you. Then I had only said one affirmation, and that affirmation was, I'm greater than the situation that I'm in.
Nice.
And I just kept saying it over and over because it took me to only saying that because I had to go from believing that I was to knowing that I was. Right?
And so,
Like,
go ahead, cause I just want to touch on something real quick, cause you're giving a lot of good information, and so before we go, you hit right on the nail. What I wanted to ask you, right, like, how many years have you already done before you got to that point of in and out that you said, you know what, now I got to start changing the narrative with the way that I think, right? Right?
right.
The federal system. I've been there, done that, USP, Atlanta, and all that, right? Been there. I know how that system works. I know about the PSI, the paperwork, and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was that turning point for you after so many years in and out of knowing what you knew, the streets, the gang, the badge of honor going in and out? You had to come to that aha moment. It's like, you know what? Like, yo, what's gonna change with Cardell, man? What I need something different. This is not working for me no more. Right? That got you to that thinking where you say, you know what? Instead of reading all these Donald Goin books and reading the Iceberg Slims and the this and the that, let me change my paradigm of how I shift and think and feed and view things to make it where it can be beneficial to my life, where I can utilize it when I get out.
It was that indictment, man. Seeing my name versus the United States of America, right?
Mhm.
And and then not only that, it was two fears. Well, it's really equals to one fear of prison. But the thing was, I was already 34, right? I'm fresh indictment. I'm already thinking I'm doing at least 10, so that's gonna put me at 44 when I get out. If I get a 10, right? So I'm thinking like, man, I don't want to die old in prison, and I don't want to be in prison and a natural disaster or a world disaster happens and I'm stuck in prison and I can't do nothing about it. And so
Mm.
I'm like, man, at the end of the day, I just didn't want to die in prison. And I knew whenever I got out off that federal bid, any other case that I caught, because my criminal history was already so high that I was going to be under that 240 to 360 range month. And
Mm.
so it was like either you'll get it together now, you're gonna end up spending the rest of your life in prison.
Yeah, so the federal, that's for those that don't understand how the federal system works out there. Right? The federal system works on a point system. It's not like your regular state system where they can sentence you to, sporadic times, however they want. The federal system has to go through a federal guideline. And there's two lines. It's a line from what is it, 1 to 9 across and 1 to 33 vertical straight down, right? And they match those points, and that's how you get sentenced. Correct?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. You got your offense
Those
level and you got your criminal history level. The
correct.
criminal history goes to 6, and the offense
Yes.
level goes to like 38. But you don't see the 38; they stop at 32 on the list, but they can
Uh huh.
go further. And wherever
Right.
your number meets at, that line meets at, like my offense level was 27, and my criminal history was 30, was a 5. So wherever they meet at, that's basically where your sentencing guideline range is.
That's
Uh,
how that system works.
exactly.
So
So
Cardell, I want to
those out
ask.
there.
I want to ask. Because I always anybody I come into contact with, and we have this conversation, you know, just on our background, just us growing up, because I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. You in Missouri, Kansas, and I think that we all go through similarities regardless where we from. You know, the hood or that block is that block. Like we all have similarities, you know, the
Right.
gangs, growing up in the drug world. And I always ask people like when growing up as a youth out there in the streets with gangs or whatever or whoever you was, with just growing up, did you ever have any or can you remember any positive influences that were around you trying to take you from that corner, trying to take you from that gang, and that you might could recognize now, growing up with our growth and development, then we could recognize our past and say, damn, it was that. I had a brother that was from the block and he moved and he came back. He was Muslim. He used to tell us, yo, y'all out there. We used to hide from him when he come through because he was giving us this positive message. You know what I'm saying? He was this
We
positive
wasn't trying to
influence.
hear
Now we wasn't trying to hear that. Do you
Mm.
remember or recall any of that in your life?
And it's crazy you say that because um, it was one guy, you know, he he was our AAU coach. So he would, and he grew up in the projects and he was a mail carrier. Then he ended up moving out the projects and getting his house. And he had sons and daughters that was my age. And so even though I was in the projects, I used to go to their house just to get out of the projects. They had all the game systems. I ain't had the Nintendo and stuff like that. So they
Yeah,
had the Nintendos, the Segas, and they had the basketball hoop. You know what I'm saying? So to me, they was living right. So I used to always go spend time with them, go to their house, stay all night with them, and things like that. And then he would also was our AAU coach. He put us in all the sports. That's how I know how to play sports. Basketball, baseball, soccer. He didn't care if he was good or not. He was like, "You gonna play some sports? Take us to
nice.
track meets." And he was funneling this out of his pocket. So he always been there. And the crazy part is, when I got kicked out the first foster home, he stepped up and brought me into his home and took me in as a foster child. So he was always been there, telling me, "Kardell, your attitude." He used to get on me. And I'm just like, I wasn't trying to hear it. Like I was embedded in being street. For some reason, I had this. I'm a product of my environment mentality, and the streets is all I know. So like after the foster home and I graduated, he was the main responsible reason why I graduated. I was living with him and his family. When I graduated, I left that and went right back to the block, to the neighborhood.
And it's crazy because when you say that, I look at so I didn't pass the ninth grade. Once I got to the ninth grade, I left school. That was it. It was over for me with school. You know, I didn't have a lot of positive influences, but I did have some that I remember growing up as an adult now. And and you know, although I didn't finish school, when I did receive this long bid, this 25-year to life sentence that I received in 1993. I went on to say enough is enough without, going into full details. I received my GED in prison, my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's degree, before coming home August 10th, 2020. And
August
and
10th, that's my
yeah,
birthday.
okay, happy birthday. And that was my birthday too. That was my new birthday. It's always gonna be my new birthday. Every time August 10th pull up. For real.
Yeah.
But that's when that's when I came home. And I look at that when you said that the streets just you gravitated towards the street. I like to call that distorted value system that we all grow up under. We grew
yeah.
up under this distorted value system out in the streets where we thought this was cool. We said this was we got to live up to this. We got to live up to this code. We got, you know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
got these, this it's the priorities. I definitely applaud that. I can't hear
Yeah,
you,
man.
Eddie.
To be oddball, to be the oddball, to not follow in the masses of the community, right? Nobody wants to be that guy that's gonna be made fun of. Oh, this guy going to school, this guy got a job when we out here hustling, bustling, doing what we want, making our own rules, right? Um, and I have this conversation a lot with people, and it was like, yeah, we had the potentials, we had the talent, but we had that fear of what everybody's perception would be of us and how we was going to be perceived in the neighborhood. So it was easier to gravitate to the negativity, and to ride with the masters of the street, because that's where we got the love from. That's where we got the, the respect from. That's where we felt the camaraderie at, right? A lot of us
Yeah.
come from broken homes, right? We wasn't getting that at home. So to me, for me personally, it was like, what's the point of going to school and learning when nobody cares if I'm going to school or not in the household? Why am I gonna go to work when these guys is out there on the block making money, and I gotta wear third handy down clothing for my siblings down to me. Right? I want to
Straight
wear
up.
Jordans. I want to look fly. I want to smell good. I want to wear a little jewelry. So that influence, right, is who we gravitate to, and I think that's what defines a person as who they are. Right? We find ourselves in the mix of going through trials and errors, right? As a youth, when we don't have that guidance, that someone that's literally on top of us, that's literally telling, yo, go to school, get off the block, get off the corner. We're waiting for that one guy. That's all it takes, is one guy to tell the rest of the guys, yo, leave him alone, let him hang out, let him hold this pack. Give him a couple dollars. You get your first $5 in your pocket. You think you're the man, especially back in the '80s. $5 for a little kid. You understand what I mean? When you ask your moms for $5, she looked at you like, boy, it's the 19th of the month. I ain't get my check on the first. Hey,
Man,
you ask me, yeah. So it's hard. You going around trying to kick quarters out of a meter, you have to get $1.25 to get saying to eat in your stomach. So why would you want to go and try to be the good guy when the guys on the block tell you, yo, hold this pack, I'm gonna give you $10 at the end of the day. That's all it
exactly.
takes, is that one guy to make you acceptable, and you like
Mm-hmm.
part of.
Especially if you know what I'm saying, it's somebody like I had I had the guy, I was just telling you about the AU coach. And I had a high school coach, what I'm saying, that he was the same way, but they did the high school coach, you ain't come from where I come from, you know. And but the thing was, like you said, I had big homies that I watched that went from nothing to something from the drug game. I had a big homie, man, him and his brother. His brother was my age. He was a few years older than me. And I can recall when we was little, us riding the church bus to church, and when we go pick them up, their house had holes in it. And then within 3 years, once the crack hit, here he is out here pushing nice with the gold flakes, big rims.
Yeah.
Here you go, little homie, 20, 30 on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm
Uh,
like, shoot. Then I got older cousins. They coming in from out of state, Benzes and And I was on the verge of dropping out. All my friends had dropped out. That my close the ninth grade, they was out of there. I was on the verge. Only thing that really kept me in school was the basketball. So when the incident occurred, the with the juvenile stuff with my first case, that was the play for them to keep me from trying to keep me from destroying my life. Because they like, man, they came to the courthouse, spoke on my behalf, the coaches did, and that was because they was like, we gonna give you a chance. But I'm like, man, look, once I was able to go back and forth every weekend, be able to go visit my mom in the projects and still seeing this, like they out here doing, I can't wait to get back over here. And I
uh-huh.
outside of them two guys, it wasn't nobody saying, man, do this. All the older heads and stuff like that, they was either on crack, so they ain't really care. And like I said, all my big homies, they was in the streets, so they was influencing it. They didn't care whether or not I'm playing basketball or not. You need some extra dollars, boy. You know, here you go. Put me on. And then I had my neighbor who was kind of like my role model and bigger brother. He was full-fledged in the streets. So I just go right to his house, 13, 14. We back there making rap, smoking weed, drinking 40s. He's back there selling dope. But hey man, make this run for me. Here go $20. Man, this run this around the corner for me. I'm cool.
Yeah, yeah,
No
yeah, and
question.
that I think that is the distorted value that Eric and I we talk about, and apparently you're talking about, right, with the message that we give, right, and the reason why we talk about our trials and errors in our past, right, is to show we've been there, right, and I was telling Eric this the other day, like who more to get the message out there than brothers like us, right? Everybody out here, these young kids nowadays, have no respect for life, for nothing. And not to say we was any better, right? But I think we had a different, a little different view.
I think we lost Anthony for a second. Um, I think we
Yeah,
lost my partner for a second. He coming back in now.
Okay, I'm there. I'm back.
Yeah,
yeah.
you here?
I went out for a second. So right, so we've been there, and we done that, and I say, listen, these young kids nowadays don't understand, what it was like when we was coming up. Right now they want to gravitate to this music that's coming out nowadays, this trap music, this gangster music, this that music. And a lot of these rappers nowadays, like it's a two-side coin. A lot of these rappers are not they're not even in the streets like that, and they promoting it like if they are, right? And so these young kids want to gravitate to that and don't know no better. And then you got these other rappers that's out there on the streets, right, who got the opportunity to make it out, but they snitching on themselves and they going to jail. They don't need nobody to go snitch on them. They telling it on their rap songs how they killed people and they sold drugs and they did this, that, and the third. So I say the whole game is all messed up. But who?
Yeah, I say that too, man, and I really, when I can understand, because I'm not gonna sit here and say, that music didn't play an influence on me at that age. In the early '90s, you know, like the first time I heard Nas's halftime. Doom, 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 doom. That
Mm-hmm.
was, you know what I'm saying? I liked it that. That brought me music. But then I'm in central Missouri, so I'm in the middle of the map. So we get all sides of the music. So when the the Chronic album dropped, Dr. Dre, the Chronic album dropped, that was that influenced my lifestyle at that point. And I'm do
Another
12,
level.
30. Yeah, I'm gonna do 12, 13.
Yeah.
Drinking 40s, you know what I'm saying? And it was a habit. We go play basketball in the park. We got to go by the liquor store. My big homie getting a case of 40s just for us after the basketball games, right? Just talking about the selling drugs like that played an influence. And then I was one of the ones, you know what I'm saying, that put what I was doing in my music. So like with the feds, they had my lawyer can't see me in the feds. Like, man, tell me you ain't been making no music about stuff you've been doing this. And I got the videos. He pulled out the laptop. They got all that in my transcript. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I try not to get on the young brothers on the influence, but I do like that distorted value is real because what happens is you start putting them. I started valuing the streets first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I value the streets, whatever came with the game, whether it was the women sitting the women to the store, go do this, do that, you know what I'm saying, on trips or the partying, the game banging. I value all that before myself, my freedom, my family, everything. And every time I did that, I was in prison. So even on that
Right.
federal bid, that was one of the first things I look at. Like you got to start prioritizing what you value and realigning what you value because right now you keep valuing the streets first. This is the only results you're gonna get. So I just started putting like some people say value God first. To me, it was I had to start valuing myself. If I didn't
So
value myself, I ain't gonna value God. I ain't gonna value my freedom. I ain't gonna value my family and none of that.
absolutely, absolutely. Cardell, what I want to do right now is get off into this real quick.
Okay, on the beat.
So this is our cell therapy session right now.
But
StreamYard, a success after lockdown, and this is where we ask how important or how much mental health has to do with just the overall conversation that we're talking about. Can we talk about that?
yes, yes,
Yes. Oh, mental health. That's the most important to me. That's the most important pieces to the puzzle, right?
Facts.
Because we had these adverse childhood experiences that we go through that we never dealt with, or was never addressed prior to us going to prison, catching cases or whatever. Then you take them experiences, and then you go to prison and you add more trauma,
Mm,
more traumatic experiences on top of that, and not focusing on and not getting the help and everything that you need, and then you release with all these traumatic
mm,
experiences. Now it's like saying, all right, now you release, now figure it out. So
ooh,
one of the things I adapted to coming out the feds on my last prison trip was counseling, therapy sessions, and things like that to start to understand why I was doing some of the things that I did that led me to prison, and how some of the things that I was engaged in while in prison was leading me to keep returning to prison. And it all was based on a lot of traumatic events that I just didn't deal with, or didn't understand at that point in time.
you know,
absolutely. Very, very, very important.
I wanna expound just now because you said something a little earlier, right? And I think that is very important, and I stand by this. And you hit it right when you said when you was in prison, when you got into the feds, you had to start working on positive affirmations. Um, and that's big. And then the vision board, right? Because a lot of people don't understand when we're dealing with mental health, right? We're either it's easier for us to suppress it, push it down, not deal with it. I think that we were so distorted coming up that nobody ever wanted to address mental health, right? But it was easy for us to say if someone was in the neighborhood that was crazy, right? It would be like, yo, such and such is 7:30, right? He crazy, meaning he bust his gun, he'll hurt somebody, he'll do whatever, right? But now let's fast forward into a time where now we can have this dialogue. We can talk about mental health and how it's affected us, right? And from the minute that we go in, from the minute that we're born and the circumstances that we're born, right? being in
Mm-hmm.
being in poverty, uneducated, the depression, the anxiety, the PTSD, from either getting ass whipping with a cable, broomsticks, whatever our moms could get our hands on was the weapon of choice to put it to our backside, right? And then being incarcerated, going from a life of so-called physical freedom. It's like what I used like to call it, physical freedom, right? Because a lot of us, even though we're physically free, we're mentally still locked up. And when I
Right.
say that, it's because they have not changed the dynamics or the change their thought process of how they view and think, right? So they be out here in the street, but still living like they're in jail, right? They
Mm-hmm.
so close-minded, right? And how do we get through that? And I tell people that nobody wants to address it and talk about it while you're in prison during the time, right? But I tell people at the end of the night, when you're laying down in that cell by yourself and your thoughts is running wild, let's be honest with ourselves. What is it that we're feeling? Let's process those feelings. That sadness,
Mm-hmm.
that down with that depressed. I don't think that if we didn't have a CO at times to come through in the morning to bang on the freaking door and yell count time, we'll probably lay down in bed all day because we're so depressed. How many brothers have you seen in the county jail go through and don't get up out of their cell for nothing except to grab their trail and lay back down? That is a form of depression. A lot of your people just say, "Oh, I do this whack." Nah, that person might be suffering through some depression. He might be struggling with something that We don't know, but yet we're quick to write it off, judge a person or demeanor them, and put them down because we don't want to be sensitive to somebody else's emotional feelings. Um, and so that's why we talk about the mental health. And you said, you came home. One thing I like about the feds is that they have the psychology department, right? Uh, and I believe that's everywhere in the feds. They always have a psychology
Yeah,
department
they
where
got it. Yeah,
and you can sign up for there and get therapy. But I used to, when I was in the feds in the beginning, I remember when I used to be like, yo, where you going? You going to the yard? I'm like, nah, I'm going to the psychology department. I need to go see that. They'd be like, what? What the fuck you want? It's like because I needed to talk about some things, and I couldn't talk about with dudes that was locked up in jail because they used to look at me and be like, "Yo, Scott, come on, shut the fuck up."
exactly.
Yeah,
How can you
But
yeah,
come with a person
they look at
when you're feeling some stuff? You got the loss of your brother in jail, you got the loss of a father, you got the loss of a loved one, and you're going to go talk about it because if you talk about it to your peers in prison, they like, "Yo, nigga, what you crying for? Come on, man, check that shit out." And
yeah.
so that shit adds more mental health to us. We hold it in and we suppress it and we lash out in angry ways.
yeah, either we do it that way, or you're gonna be end up on the pill line, but we just call happy hour.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be
yes.
running down there taking some type of medicine that in 6 months you ain't gonna know who you are. You ain't gonna you gonna be sitting in your cell. You ain't gonna be what
Absolutely.
happened on boy.
And
You just
listen, I was one of them, right? Listen, I went through a traumatic time on this last bit in the Fed. They put me on Prozac, they put me on Remron to go to sleep with. And after like a week, I hated the way it made me feel. And I don't suggest this for anyone. Listen, I'm in the mental health field now, and I believe that if you need medication for certain diagnoses, yes, it's going to keep you stable, it's going to keep you in the right mind. I'm all for it, right? But for me personally, I found that the antidepressants didn't work for me. It made me feel lethargic. It made me feel no energy. I found a different avenue for my mental health, and that was working out and music. You give me some music and you give me something to work out with, I can set my mind free and I'm okay, right? But I also learned to find people that I can talk to process feelings when I'm feeling them instead of acting out, right? Now
Absolutely.
person to cut you off and just be like you ready to go off.
So so
That,
I'm
that
looking at there's levels to that too. The mental health part of one, and what we go through. First the state, I ain't never hear them encouraging us to go see no therapist, no no
nah, they
no,
gonna
nothing in
put
the
the
state,
state
you
gonna put
heard?
you on the
So
pills. The
ain't
state
no
gonna
I
put
like
you on
to hear
medicine.
that in the feds. Another thing, Anthony, when you mentioned the moms and you talked about the beatings, I started to feel that fire on my ass already. You heard from back in the past, but we that's another topic. But but
yeah.
I like to say the levels that we have, right? And me growing up inside, I was 20 when I went to prison. Came home at 49.
Mm.
And going in, what happened for me when I went through my transition, when I was going through my transition, I began to take these self-help therapeutic classes that we created, nobody else created but the prisoners. And so
Mm.
that helped me with my trauma. Yeah, we still like that PTSD that Anthony spoke about is serious. I think that we all are certified when we coming out of them prison walls from behind that prison system. We all certified with PTSD to some degree.
Yeah,
If anybody like to expound on that.
yeah. You had them. You know that even though you're addressing the mental health illnesses that you're going through while incarcerated, you're going to have more added on once you get out, especially if you get a long stretch period of time. Like you said, you from 20 to 49. You talking about that's almost like saying from 8 tracks to MP3s, right? And
Uh-huh.
so
Mm,
you walking out and you know, like one thing for me, like getting out of prison, going to Walmart, using the restroom, sitting there for 5 minutes trying to figure out where the handle was at, and then walking away and it flushes itself. I done spent
Absolutely.
I done spent 5 minutes frustrating, getting anxiety and everything else, and then trying to understand this.
Sounds
Like that
I,
that that
I
goes on
I
to
miss my
that's just
Super
one
Nintendo.
aspect. That's a small aspect that a lot of people take for granted.
yeah,
Standing in McDonald's or a fast food restaurant trying to figure out what you want to eat without feeling like you holding up the line and nothing because you never had the opportunity to really make a decision on what you eat, what you ate for the last 30 years. You operated off a menu. Oh, this is what they got on the menu. We'll go to the chow hall. Now you get out and you standing in the fast food restaurant looking at this thing, all these choices, and you don't even know what to get.
But
You get
I
anxiety from that. You feel like you're holding up the line. Man, forget it.
I
I'm
still
out of here.
suffer. I still suffer through that now, right? To be honest with you, I still suffer through that. And anyone that know me will tell you, I can't go someplace and if I gotta stand in line and look at a menu,
hmm
I feel like I'm holding up the line. So I gotten into the habit, like my wife always asks me, "What do you want to eat?" And I'm like, "Yo, surprise me, surprise me." If I gotta think, like some days I can know what I want, but I got like a go-to that I will always go to. And she's like, "Well, you just had that 3 days ago. Come on, pick something out." I'm like, "I surprise me." But if I gotta stand on the line like Starbucks, I used to love going to Starbucks and look at the coffee, but the menu now is so confusing that I just go in there and I say, "Give me an espresso."
Yeah, and
That
and and a lot and a lot of times, our partners, like I'm married, so I'm like that with the like you just said. Well, what you want to eat, man? You choose.
yeah,
You figure it out. You tell me because I'm just like that as well. Like, man, and they might not understand that we have been operating off a menu.
right.
We know every Thursday in the feds what they serve.
Yep, yep,
Chicken.
yep.
They got
Chicken
that chicken on
everywhere. Nice
Thursday.
chicken on the bone.
Yeah,
Chicken on
they serve that chicken on Thursday. See how that's and we laugh about it now, but in reality, that's mental health right there.
yeah,
Us
yeah,
knowing every Thursday, everybody that's been in the feds know every Thursday what they serve.
yeah. Everybody going to chow.
Everybody going to chow.
All right.
Fish, fish patty on Friday.
Uh-huh. You know, and so,
See
right?
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so we ain't making them choices. We go and look at the menu. We know the menu down by pat. We know it down right. So yeah, today Thursday we got the chicken. We ain't even gotta look at the menu.
yeah,
To come out and try to go to a restaurant and put together an order, that's too much for me.
yeah. But if you ask a person to define yourself in 3 words, who are you? The first thing, I'm a gangster. I'm hood. They can't tell you
Man,
nothing about themselves, right? But they can tell you to recite you the whole 4 weeks of a menu in prison, right? They
exactly.
can recite every song. They can recite everything like this, right? Um, even with the PTSD, like when I first came home, like I couldn't stand the sound of metal clanking. And I remember when I first came home, I went to like an NA meeting. And I went to this meeting, and at the end of the meeting, we was all sitting like on the folded metal chairs. At the end of the meeting, everybody had to fold their chairs up. And I remember it was a big room. It was packed. It was like maybe 90 people up in there, and everybody at the same time got up. And when all those chairs slammed together, that metal freaked me out so bad that I literally ran out of there thinking I was locked down again.
Mm.
Like literally ran out of there. People was looking at me, and I'm shoving people out like, yo, what the fuck? And a brother came to me like, "Yo, you all right? What happened? Like, you good?" And I was like, "Yo, that I don't know. Like the noise of metal clanking, like it set me off. All I remember is those cell doors closing and opening. That's what it sounded like, clank, 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 clank." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And it set me off. I ran out of there. But Cardell, right? We talked about all the bad, the negative, the ugly, right? What Because I'm looking at your bio, I'm looking at your history, right? How we take Cardell from that lifestyle to deciding to do what you do now, to give back, to talk to the youth, to help brothers and sisters that's formerly incarcerated come out, get their lives together, get back on track, write a book, promotional speaking, keynote speaker, right? You have a lot of things going on, right? Uh,
And
do
I
you?
need you to promote that book today too on Success
Yeah,
After
because we
Life.
got it on cue right now. You can promote your book right now. We're gonna throw it up on the screen as a cue, so I'll give you a second on that real quick before my next question.
So inmate the inspiration, man. It just talks about the journey, man. How I went from like people, they say, man, you using the word inmate. And I tell them I was an inmate. I wasn't no offender. No, I was an inmate. When I was in prison, I operated in prison from first time I went to prison all the way up to the last. I was doing. I got stabbed, fighting, all the whole nine. Like I wasn't trying to be no model prisoner. I was an inmate. Period. And how did I go from being that to where I'm at today, man? I just realized, like I said, I was greater than what I was putting myself into, but I had to tap into myself and supply myself with certain keys. The positive mental attitude, creates having a vision for myself outside of going to the block. You know what I'm saying? Start educating myself, and then it really boiled down to just putting the work in, started hustling. So when I walked out of prison, that's what I relied on. I had a vision, my vision board. I wanted to be a speaker. I had a picture of Jay-Z behind the office desk representing the business owner. I had all these different things on there that this is what I was going out to do. And I had faith that I can do it. So couldn't nobody tell me just because of my background or whatever that I couldn't do it. And once I walked out of there, that's what I did. I dedicated myself to that. And also, one of the big things was sitting in federal prison, watching people get out, violate their federal probation, come back, and keep saying, "Man, this you can't, man. You gonna have to come back because they sure they might be behind you and call you on the phone. I'm behind you, pull over, and they own you, your PO own you, and all that." And I used to tell guys, when I get out, I'm gonna show you how to do it, and I'm gonna come back and give you the game on how to do it.
Nice. Now, yo, that's so beautiful spoke. I need you to take, if you can, 1 minute. Tell people what a vision board is and how it was impactful in your journey and in your life to because I swear by a vision board. I created one before I came home from the feds, and my vision board, everything I put on there came true. Please tell the brothers and sisters out there listening what a vision board and how powerful that is.
A vision board is you putting together a board of where you want to see yourself, right? Not only that, you're gonna add some quotes on there that you're gonna like. One of the quotes I had on mine was, "Smart is thinking big even when you are small." Right? And so it's a collage of pictures that you might get out of magazines. What I do now is I take pictures like if I'm on my vision board now and I got a certain house. So I went out to the neighborhood of the house that I really wanted and I took a picture of it and it's on there. So it's the things that you want to set out to achieve all on the board, or you can do it even on or make the collage on your phone and put it as a screen shaker. But you waking up and you seeing this every day and you really got to study it. You seeing it, you
Right.
studying it, and you putting together a plan, a set of goals that's going to help you reach that. Depending on how long you setting this to come together on your board. I got a vision board right now. I put together this year. I live off vision boards because every time I put together a vision board, everything that I had on there came true. I wanted to be an author. I had that on the vision board. That was true. Wanted to run on my own business. That was true. Wanted to be a speaker. That came true. Wanted to get married. That came true. All of these things that I had on my vision board, it came true because I was able to see it. What people don't understand is we operate off a reticular activating system, how we move. And what that is our brain processes about 4 bits of information, 4 billion bits of information per minute. But our mind can't process all that. So it got a filtering system, the reticular activating system that filters that process that 4 billion bits of information to about 20,000. And what information does it keep is information that something that might be a potential threat or something that's relevant to you. It happens to us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Your loved one, your girl, whoever, they might got a new car. from that point on, you start seeing that car, that type of car, everywhere you go. Like, man, my girl
everywhere.
got a car like that.
Yep.
That's your red chick. Like, why you see that car? Because there's somebody that's relevant to you got that car. That's what that vision board does. When you wake up every day looking at that vision board, things that you're looking on becomes relevant to you. So you're gonna start seeing commercials. You're gonna start seeing other people in the stuff that's involved on your vision board, and then you're gonna start working towards. You keep looking at it long enough.
Absolutely.
Power of the mind. Go ahead, Eric. Evie.
I was just gonna say, and that's why I said there's levels to this. Just going back for a second to what you was talking about when you said that when you was in prison, you was an inmate. That's because you came out and I like to because in the state, New York State, where I grew up in, like that was something where the progressive brothers that was in there, we stayed away from that word, the inmate, because we knew that this was something that had us, this system has us under this slavery power, and so that was a word we frowned upon, you know what I mean, to be called an inmate. I ain't no inmate, but now when you say that, and I look back with my growth and development, I could see that if I was still doing the same thing I was doing when I came to prison, when I left, I could consider myself that inmate. You know what I mean? I just was fortunate and blessed to after that third year, I was like, enough is enough. I want out of this. I want out of this street life, because in prison, in New York State prison, it's worse than the streets. A lot of times they got more drugs in New York State than in the streets. A lot of times, so it was easy for me to stay in that lane, but then I begin to take that self introspection of myself. I begin to go and close that gate. Yo, on the yard, nah, I'm staying in. I got and putting all these books up on the bed and reading, and then looking at all these self-help therapeutic classes, and just wanting to be positive now because I was just tired of the negativity. And so that allowed me to be this person that's striving for education on all levels, in the first 4 or 5 years of my prison time. So when you explained it, it was so well put for me to understand it, and that's where the levels come from. Some people learn faster than others. Some people get it. So you know what I mean? Some people go through, but
Growth and
guess what?
development. And
But guess
development.
what? We all on the same path, because I look at you like I look at my brother Anthony, like I look at myself. Look where we came from. I don't even have to know you, like just the small, little bit that you informed our followers and family with today. Show me that there's so many similarities with us. You know what I mean? That we can't be nothing but brothers. You know what I mean?
Man,
So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Like I said, and to reunite, right? I mean, like we're reaching out to so many people, all over the country that's reaching out now. We're on season 3 with Success After Lockdown. And,
Yeah. So this was. Go ahead.
yeah, I think that it's such a beautiful thing that when we see, brothers and sisters from all over, doing something similar to what we're doing, right? Formerly incarcerated men and women to get
See, brother Anthony
being
in that red
community
state too.
advocates,
So
leaders. Yeah, definitely
no,
that
go
red
ahead,
state.
because
That's
you
why
keep
we're
breaking up. You came back though. Yeah, I was going to say you in that red
everybody.
state. They messing with your AI system.
Not. I got so many phone calls are coming in right now.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, man, it's always refreshing to meet people, brothers and sisters who have come from, no matter where you come from in the country and the world, You came from the gutter, from the mud, and you've been through the ringer, and you came out, and you decided to change your life around and be selfless, right? Because that's what we are. We're selfless. Regardless what anybody want to say about us, my past don't dictate my future. Who you saw me as yesterday is not who I am today, right? We don't have to do what we're doing. We can say, we came out the system. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna pay my bill, and I'm gonna move on and fuck helping everybody out. But we didn't. We decided to step up and say, hey, I'm a formerly incarcerated man, right? And I want to get back to my community. I want to go back and I want to talk to people and change the distorted value that people have and give a message, right? That, hey, listen, the streets, we're never going to lose a fight. No matter how you think and see it or how you view it, you're not going to win. Nobody wins. You're always going to lose. So take it from brothers like us and sisters that been there, done that, but came out on the other side, being homeowners, being married, being productive members of society, being taxpayers, not have to worry about looking over our shoulders, giving a positive word of message, right? We can be tough and thug all we want, but we choose to now to show that we're not that person, because being that person, that distorted value of that person only leads us to one place, and we always lose.
Man, always lose.
We win.
Man, I ain't seen nobody. I ain't seen. Me personally, I haven't seen nobody that won yet. And
Neither
that's
have.
why I do, right? Because to me, it's about taking us back on the inside and showing those brothers on the inside. Look here, man. It's something different out here that you can be doing,
Yep.
and it's possible, right? Because one thing that helped me out once I didn't have no mentors coming out, but once I did finally get a mentor, he showed me that I can go back in with my own program, not the programs that been. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of fluff programs inside of prison that been getting, the money and stuff, and they not making the impact or the results, right?
Don't hate to say it, that's a fact.
That's just what it is. That's just 100. We know the programs that's in there and they making an impact, but they've been in the prison system for 30 years, ain't made an impact, and they continue to be. He showed me that I didn't have to go through them systems. I can create my own and go back in and make an impact. And so that's what I did. And not only that, through my program, I bring other people like us with me. Come on, we going in. I want them to see not just me. They can see us three and three other people come in at the same time. We all done been through it. They can see the hope. To me, and I bring that in my program. Like I got academy on the Inside Reentry Academy. We do personal development. We do how to sharing your story through communication, whether it's writing a book or learning how to speak. We also do entrepreneurship, and we do vision board and mindset shift, different programs. But no matter what the program is, every month I bring in successful, formerly incarcerated people, because it's kind of like that reticular activating system again. If I can continue showing those in my class, that it's more than just me, it's more than just you, it's more than us three. There's a whole bunch of us out here who done been through it and out here doing some amazing things. And we got a community of mentors for you when you get out and while you're on the inside.
Right.
That brings hope.
Let me say something to that.
Man,
pardon me for cutting you off too, but I think this is very, very important to say.
I know what you're gonna say.
Because me and Anthony, we are attempting to go back into the schools and to the prisons. Anthony currently goes to the detention center, the juvenile center in Florida, and speak to young youth, right? And I was working with an organization, non-for-profit here in New York, that also is in the facility. So I used to go back into it in a different capacity to speak to those individuals and get them ready to come to our program to help them out here in society when they come home. And I used to pick them up, the gentlemen, the men and women that's coming home, and take them to the program. We get them clothes and what have you. But the reason why I mentioned this is because me and Anthony are attempting to go back into the schools and the prisons to share our story, and because me and him we grew up together in the Bronx, since we was infants. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We came out the house together, and we both separated. I did 27 years and 6 months. Anthony did a total of 22. But when I came home in 2020, August 10th, 2020, happy birthday to you and me. You know what I mean? We connected, we reconnected. And so I want to make a vow today that hopefully, and this is gonna be on my vision board, that hopefully, before I say that, when we just did a youth empowerment basketball tournament we created, and we had some youth from Harlem, New York City go to Newburgh, New York, and the kids was like so excited. The young brothers were so excited to be out of their district, out of their town. Some of them never been out of their town, and vice versa. We took some Newburgh kids to New York City to play basketball tournament. They was just so excited. And so I think that me and Anthony coming to Missouri and engaging with you at one of them seminars in prison, the school, about our story, I think that would be so, I want to say dope, because that's the word I'm speaking about, and vice versa. Us bringing you down here one day to speak.
But the thing is, man, we doing it all over, right? Just like last year, we did the On the Inside Empowerment Workshop tour. We went, even though I run my program physically in Missouri, right? But I also run the same program virtually in Arizona and locking in some other states as well. But what I did last year was a whole tour, and this has been the thing. I'm going to bring it back this year. I've got a team of formerly incarcerated educators, successful people like us. Also, on that team, 95% of the team were people like us that been through it, came out doing some great things. The other 5% was reentry educators that was ran education department inside of prisons, but they was just as impacted. Their father might have went to prison and things like that, so they was connected on both sides. And we went to Maryland, Florida, Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, Illinois, Missouri. And we went in for one day and hosted 4-day workshops. Whether it was I did an hour on vision board goal setting, and it wasn't just speaking like we had. When you came to the workshop, after my sections, you was gonna have a vision for yourself written down. Then we had a guy come in, my brother Aaron. He did entrepreneurship. So if you was in entrepreneurship, once this section done, you have 5 steps on the paperwork that you needed to start your businesses and everything. And you also had your elevator pitch put together. Then we had a parenting, we had mental health and wellness, we had job readiness, and we just went in there on a 4-day workshop. We went to all kind of different places. Looking to do it again this year. And what I did was I just had an open invitation. I didn't want to do it by myself. It was an open invitation. If you want to come on, I'd let people know up front, you ain't getting paid. We're doing it on strength. You're going to have to come out your pocket with it. But if you're able to, if you can't make it to all the states, if you can make it to this your state, it's an open invitation. And we all came together, man, and that's what we're doing, because like I said, man, to me, it's about bringing us back on the inside, giving them the game and showing them that, man, look, it's a lot of us out here doing some great things. Are you going to fall in line or you ain't? If you don't fall in line, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be right back where you at. And we keep it real with them. How I talk to you is how I talk to the people in my class. I tell the people straight up, I'm not professional. I'm coming in and giving them the real, raw, and what it's going to take. Ain't no professionalism to it.
Nice. And a quick question, Kardell. How far is Missouri from Kansas?
So Missouri and Kansas is right on the same borderline. So like Kansas City, you got Kansas City, Missouri, and you got Kansas City, Kansas. Right? Okay. Yeah.
How far are you from Kansas City, Missouri?
So for Kansas City, Missouri, I'm probably like 20 minutes from Kansas City, Missouri. I live on the Missouri side.
Okay.
That's a big thing in Missouri now. Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. That's a big thing.
We asked that because
They don't like to
Yeah.
be saying that.
I,
Yeah, they don't like to be mistaken in Kansas. No, we ain't
it's
Kansas.
like
Oh, okay.
it's like St. Louis, Missouri, and East St. Louis, Illinois.
Exactly the same
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
It's
asked that because my producer, he's gonna be out there next month in Kansas City, Missouri, and he trying to link up with you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He'll be out
Yeah.
there.
Just let me know
twins in the
when. But yeah,
Twin
it's a
City.
big difference.
So
Yeah, it's a big difference.
listen,
Uh,
real quick, Cardell. We got like 1 minute left, man. Can you plug in how people can get in touch with you, your website? We're gonna plug all that in on the screen and everything as well. But anybody could get in contact with you. How can they reach you?
you can reach me at KardellSims.com or I am Kardell Sims on all social media platforms. Man, I use my name on everything because my name is my brand. My
Oh, you
story is
heard?
my name. You
There
know,
you go,
I am the evidence.
man. Listen,
Absolutely. And
I
we gotta get your number too, man, your personal number to stay in touch, man. Because I definitely I'm putting that on my vision board, man. I'm
Man, for
putting
real, man, get
we
in
just
touch with
came
me.
from Florida. Go
Hey,
ahead.
get in touch with me because I was about to come up to New York. And I'm already approved on all the visiting lists on the paperwork in Florida, so we can get in Florida anytime. New York just hit me up. They wanted me to come up to the island and speak. Then wanted me to turn around and come up every other week for 2 days to run my program in the same wing, I guess. Only problem is they wanted me to do all that for free.
Yeah. We gotta have sun. That's travel expenses
gotta
Yeah,
there.
get,
I'm like,
gotta
man,
get, you gotta get, you
coming
could
up
get,
there every other week from
you
Missouri to
could
New
get, you
York,
could
I got to come up with something.
Yeah, you
Sun.
can probably get a grant for that. But listen, my brother, on my behalf, success after lockdown, man. It's been a pleasure. It's refreshing always talking to a formerly incarcerated man, individual who became a man, who had turned their life around, who's given out positive messages after, creating so much drama and chaos in our lives as juveniles and young adults and being misguided. It's always refreshing to, to talk to someone and have this conversation and break that stigma, talk about mental health and just giving back. Uh, and we look forward to the phone number connecting. And like I said, you can count me in. Anything that I can do to come up there, my time, my money is not an issue. Let's connect because people are so gravitated to negativity. That's what they want to hear, right? So when our little voices right now, giving out the message, eh,
Mm-hmm.
we need to knock on some doors to really show move in a movement, right?
Straight up.
You know,
That's what. Listen,
nobody wants to give accolades to the underdog who turned their life around and doing something positive and giving back to the community, right? But when they start to see the masses of people uniting from all over the country, from all walks of life and all different ghettos and hoods and everything with the same common goal and vision, that's fucking powerful. And that's what we need to explore out there. To start telling these young brothers and sisters out there, yo, don't let your past dictate your future. Change is possible, but the change starts with the way that you think. If you
yeah,
don't
so
change this, nothing else is going to change.
that's
You can
right.
move wherever
Absolutely.
you're going to go, but if you take you
Yeah,
and this with you, you stay where you at. Stay where you at. That's what
yeah.
I say.
So listen, I just want to say, I just want to, thank you, Cardell. Nice to meet you, man. It's a pleasure meeting you. For me, it's a pleasure because I don't know nobody from Missouri, and now I do. You know, for real. I never knew anyone from Missouri, and a lot of other states that I'm trying to connect with because we taking our podcast and our movement internationally. We've been to Florida. Our next step is Atlanta, and Missouri is gonna come up too at some point in our journey with success.
Movement, baby. It's a movement.
No,
So
most definitely, man. I'm starting a new class this here in the next within the next month. Physical class on the inside. A new class is gonna be starting pretty soon. Once the class gets started, man, come on up. Y'all can come in, share your story, share what you all
absolutely.
do,
Absolutely.
everything.
Count me on there.
And, and
Count
if
it
you have and if you have anything virtual that you would like us to hook up to and we could, you know, give our story to anyone that help your cause, we here. We in the building.
Okay. I
You
got
heard?
the virtual avenue too. Got the
Okay,
Right.
virtual
so
avenue as
let's
well.
stay in touch. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Let's
I'm
stay
gonna shoot
connected.
y'all. I'm gonna shoot y'all my number. Everybody that know me, they tell you this is what I like to connect. I like to.
No
I'm
question.
trying to have a big reinforcement. Like,
That's
look,
right.
this is how we doing it.
That's right.
It's a movement. And to all our followers out there, man, thank you for continuing to support us, follow us. Success after lockdown, man.
Yo,
Happy New Year's.
yeah, but on that note too, we don't even have to. We ain't even got to plug our social media because I got you. We
Yeah.
out.